When we first arrived in Carvoeiro, and us as our family, my dad and my mom and my sister and I, we would walk across the coastline, and this would mark the end of our walk. My dad would call it the Torre, the tower, and we didn't know anything about it. At the time it was much smaller than it is now. It was a ruin. You could climb upon it. It was almost half of what you see now. I think most of what you see now is new. It was restored in the last, I don't know, some 6 years ago, I guess. The first time we were here, you could almost not recognize it as a tower. It was a clump of stones. My sister and I would climb on it. It was actually a bit dangerous. Stones would fall off. And only a lot later we learned it was part of a coastal system of warning that was built in the 18th century to check for pirates, basically, who would invade the coast and loot the country of resources such as sardines and figs. It's actually interesting how it is restored, because since most of what you see is quite new, I imagine it's not really about the material authenticity of the thing, because there's very little of that still present, but it really marks the coast a lot better. So now you can recognize it from the village of Carvoeiro, which is a 2-hour walk in that direction, where when we were here from the 70s on, you could hardly see it. It was too small to recognize it. Only with very clear weather could you actually point it out on the horizon. And now it really functions as a checkpoint on the coastal line. You can see it from everywhere, and it's very recognizable. But as you can see, you cannot climb on it anymore, and it's actually a lot more robust than it used to be. What you could ask yourself is why this tower was restored in the first place. There's a lot of old buildings in the countryside of Portugal, and this is obviously really old. I think the first reason is that this is part of a system of towers that were used for early warning of invaders and pirates. And also I think it is used as a point of marcation, so to recognize a certain part of the coast. It's very funny that it's actually hard to reach. If you want to reach it by walking along the coast, it is a 2-hour walk from the nearest village of Carvoeiro. I don't know, perhaps you could walk from here to Ferragudo, the next village, but it's not really close. You can get close from the road, but even then you have to walk over rough rocks in order to get here. So I think it's mainly restored, of course, as a historic building, but also as a point of marcation and of recognition, rather than it being a very interesting and rich historical monument. There is some information here now that wasn't there when we first got here. You can learn something about when it was built, I think in the late 18th century. But it's actually also a mystery, so it's very hard to find out details about how it was inhabited, what type of signaling was done. It is clear that it used to be inhabited in the 18th century, so there was always someone here to watch the sea and guard the population of the nearby villages.